I'll come back to Member Rollins Fernandez. Okay. Councilmember Tom Cook.
Aloha Friday, good morning, and half a day.
Yeah.
And there's nobody in the Kihei office to give testimony at the moment.
Councilmember Nohilani U'uhajans.
Good morning, all. Happy Aloha Friday, half a day.
Councilmember Shane Sinensi.
Hey, aloha kakaya kakako and half a day.
Okay, are there any testifiers in your offices?
I haven't got a text.
Legislature. So there are currently no testifiers. Legislature. So there are currently no testifiers, I believe. We have additional county staff that are helping us at the moment at the Molokai District Office to see if there's anyone there. So I didn't hear that there are any testifiers. And today marks 132 years of the illegal occupation of America. Wow.
Thank you. Members, the reason why I chose half a day is I'm hoping the meeting will be relatively short because we have to schedule another meeting in January, another council meeting. And you know how difficult it is nowadays to post in the amount of time that's required. And plus Monday's a holiday. Okay, so that's the reason for that. Ms. Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There are 9 members present, so you have a quorum to conduct the business of the council. For the record, I'm Deputy County Clerk Rochelle Thompson. Also present from the Office of the County Clerk is the County Clerk Juana Ludi and Legislative.
That one is by Nikita Gill, and the next one is by Amanda Gorman. It is a beautiful thing that she did, and it's called Smoldering Dawn. It's a fundraiser for the California Fire Foundation, offering support and aid to firefighters, families, and those impacted by the fires. All our angels have gone. In this smoldering dawn, we soldier on. We've proved ourselves strong, not by how badly we burn. A revelation that only this place tells to find our angels. All we need to do is look within ourselves. Thank you.
Yes, very, very beautiful. Thank you. And now, please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. Is compliments of Kevin Kochi, and he works in the Public Works Department, Highways. Is it okay? Is it working now?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. May I please request that everyone keep their microphones muted unless it's your turn to speak. As a reminder, testimony must pertain to items on the meeting agenda. When testifying, please direct your remarks to the council and not to any individual council member or member of the public. Each testifier will be allowed to speak for up to 3 minutes on each item. For individuals wishing to testify on Teams, please click the raise your hand button to be added to the testifier log. If you are calling in, please follow the phone prompts to be added to the testifier log. Decorum shall be maintained at all times. Any person who behaves in a manner that disrupts or impedes the orderly conduct of any council meeting can, at the discretion of the presiding officer, or a majority of present council members, be ejected or banned from council meetings, or if participating remotely, muted or dropped from the meeting. Examples of disruptive behavior include, but are not limited to, heckling, shouting, use of profanity, threatening or slanderous remarks made to any member of the council, staff, or general public. Ms. Clerk, please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At this time, individuals may testify on any item on the meeting agenda to be added to the testifier log online. Raise your hand in Teams. Once you've been added to the testifier log, staff will lower your hand. If you're calling in by phone, follow the phone prompts to be added to the testifier log. Testifiers will be listed in the order of sign up, and you may check your place in line by clicking on the testifier log in the chat. When your name is called to testify, please identify the agenda item number that you're testifying on. And if you wish to testify later at the time the item is called, please notify us when your name is called and we'll move your name to that section. Chair, the first person to testify is Sydney Smith, testifying on bills 146 and 180, to be followed by Eve Hogan. And Ms. Smith, if you will please let us know when you've concluded your first testimony, and then we'll restart the clock.
All right, thank you. Good morning and half a day. My name is Sydney Smith, and I'm the chair of the Ag Working Group. I'm testifying on behalf of myself and the Ag Working Group. I want to thank council members Gabe Johnson, Tom Cook, Chair Alice Lee, and their staff, along with council services, for their hard work on this bill. The Ag Working Group has been around since 2011. I looked back through our records and found letters and references to our frustration with the fixture unit policy going back to 2015. 10 years. 10 years we didn't build houses because we couldn't add kitchens and bathrooms. 10 years more families moved away. I know this will be a year from now before we can really start to build. So that's going to mean building materials will be even more expensive if we can get them at all. The tragic California fires are going to result in a very scarce supply. But because of the storage tank bill, maybe we can build right now, or at least get something in the works. So despite circumstances beyond our control, and despite another year of waiting, we are grateful. Grateful to you, the County Council, and grateful to the Water Director, John Stuffelbein, who has been open to change. Another great benefit of this bill, I expect quite a few people will withdraw from the upcountry water meter list, since many just needed a slightly larger meter for their ohana or for irrigation. This is a real step forward for our community to build desperately needed housing, but not just for ag, for everyone. So I don't have a separate testimony for Bill 180, but I think that they sort of go hand in hand, because we will be able to build using a tank, and then possibly after a year, when we can have more units on our existing meter, then we could switch over and use the tank for irrigating our crops. So I appreciate all the hard work that I know everybody put into this. So thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions, members? If not, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chair, the next testifier is Eve Hogan, testifying on bills 146 and 180, to be followed by Charmaine Tuxoni.
Good morning, Council. Good morning, Chair. I'm Eve Hogan, owner of the Sacred Garden and a member of the Ag Working Group, testifying on my own behalf in favor of both Bill 146 and 180. Primarily, I wanted to thank you all for bringing these bills to the floor. It's so important and so great. We're so grateful that you recognize the need for this intelligent change in our system, namely expanding the catchment of water tanks to 30,000 without a need for a permit, and using the water usage rather than the fixture count for the methodology for the water department. So I'm just here to thank you for all your work and all your support on these bills.
Thank you. Are there any questions? If not, thank you very much.
Chair, the next testifier is Charmaine Tuxoni, testifying online. Please identify which item you'll be speaking on, to be followed by Theo Morrison. Charmaine Tuxoni, go ahead and unmute on your end. Chair will come back to her. Theo Morrison testifying.
Okay, I'm here.
Oh,
I'm here. Can I go, please?
Yes.
Because hi, my name is Charmaine Taxoni. I'm a teacher at Maui High School, and I just stepped out of my classroom. We're in a training right now, so I'd like to do this right now. I'm here for Bill 187, the Ohana Assistance Program. I'm representing my family, and before I start talking about the whole situation there, I want everybody to know that our family is currently housing Lahaina fire victims, 4 of them, which is my brother, his wife, and his 2 children. So in our home, we currently have 11 people, and we qualified for this program. I'm reading my dad's testimony because it's his property. He applied for it last year. We've testified, they approved it and all of that. And according to the timeline, if it had been written up and administered properly, we would be in the home that we qualified for. Okay, so we were one of the 6 we're told that qualified for the whole $100,000, which will cover most of the costs. But because of the delays and the whatever happened, which we've been put on hold and have tried to get information, and for months and months, been just no information, and then, information here and there. So we had all the builders lined up. And so now, instead of us being in that unit, because we were told don't start, and then we were told, okay, they don't know what's going on, but go ahead and you can start. And so we are now almost done with it. My dad, I have spent all of my savings. I'm a teacher. I don't have very much money. I spent all of my savings. My parents have spent almost all of their retirement savings. Okay, so we are asking to please get it fixed, get it done, push it forward, because I'm sure we're one of them. There's so many that need this housing, but please, to put a face to it, right? Like, we are families that are from here. We're not trying to, push up the market. We're trying to house our people. We're housing, again, Lahaina fire victims. These are all, I don't know what else to say. I know I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but please, we're asking to please take control of it, figure out what needs to be done, get it done, and get that money out there, because the money is there. We know from all the previous things, right? The money was there, the program was set. Something was wrong, I guess, with how it was written and how it would be distributed. Please, asking so nicely, figure it out, let us know, and please keep us in the loop. We've been not having information and chasing information and trying to figure out our timeline of what we can do and what what we can afford to do and all of this stuff. So, anybody, please email or call me if you have questions. I know that there's limited time to testify here, and I do have to get back to my teacher training. So thank you very much. I think that was all that my dad wanted to say, and that we want to say on behalf of our family and this Ohana Assistance Program. We thank you very much for providing this for our family and for other Ohana on this mokupuni. Mahalo.
Thank you so very much for your testimony. We're very sorry that you've been put through this traumatic process. Questions, Member Pro Tem Kama?
Yes. Thank you, Charmaine, for your testimony. And you did mention that we could call you. Do you have a number we could reach you at? You could leave with our staff if you don't want to say it openly.
Yes. Sure.
Okay.
I can also put it in the chat. Yeah. My number is 808-283-1109, because I actually cannot type right now. I don't know what's going on. Our internet. Okay, so 808-283-1109 is my phone number. Yep. I can provide email. My father and I have both sent emails to, different people and gone to the county building so many times. And were you able to get that number?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You,
Thank you. Any more questions, members?
Any other questions, please let me know.
Okay, we will. Thank you very much. Ms. Clerk.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chair. The next testifier is Theo Morrison, testifying on Bill 2, to be followed by Jeff Uyoka.
Good afternoon. Good morning, council members. My name is Theo Morrison. I'm the Executive Director of Lahaina Restoration Foundation, and I'm here to oppose Bill number 2, the demolition of the spring house. Lahaina Restoration was involved with the owners and FEMA in discussions about the spring house several months ago. And at those meetings, the FEMA representative said that the spring house, built in 1823, was built on a cement slab, and all cement slabs in this burn zone are compromised. I did some research with Stanley Solomillo, who's the county historic architect, and he told me that cement slabs were not used in Lahaina until the construction of the Pioneer Mill office building in 1910. The owner believed FEMA over me, and so at that point decided to go ahead and demolish the building. Lahaina Restoration Foundation owns the Baldwin home and the Master's Reading Room, that piece of property, which is a neighbor to the spring house. And we shored up that building with the idea of restoring it almost a year ago. FEMA has agreed to reimburse us for that shoring. And I was called to a meeting with FEMA about a month ago at the site. And at that meeting, FEMA told me that FEMA had decided that the building was unsalvageable. They would demolish it and demolish the both buildings, take it all away for free. And I said, no. I said, no, it's not happening. I'm going to get a second opinion. I brought over WJE, a nationally known secure structural engineering firm that has offices on Oahu. And they came and examined the building and they said, no, this does not have to be demolished. There might have to be a targeted demolition of the part of the upper second floor, which we already suspected. But no, the building can be restored. I went back to FEMA with that information and I asked them if they would do a targeted demolition. They said no, it's either all or nothing. We chose nothing, and we are now so we planned to save the building. We are now in the alternative debris removal program with the County of Maui. So going back to the spring house, the answer to bill number 2 is no. No is a complete sentence, and that's all you need to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Members' questions? Member Paulton and then Vice Chair Sugimura.
I was wondering if Ms. Marcin could be a resource when the item comes up. That's different than what I had been told, that the owner wanted it demolished and was unwilling to sell. And this bill 2 is to salvage the demolition, the Pohaku Kupuna. So that's my question, if she could be a resource and if she has the time.
Can you be a resource later?
Are you talking today?
Yes, when the item comes up, maybe in another hour and a half.
I could do that, but maybe you misunderstood what I said. I understand that the owner wants to demolish the building and then save the stones.
I think it's our the cultural people in our community that would like to save it, and the owner is willing. There's been effort, I understand, to get the owner to try and sell it to the county or reconsider, but my understanding is the owner is calling the shots, and so the recourse is to try and salvage what is being demolished. That's what the bill is about. The bill isn't to demolish it, it's to try and salvage what is being demolished, because that's the owner of the land's desire, is to demolish it, and her unwillingness to sell.
Okay, yeah, you are correct, but we just want to go on record as being opposed to the demolition.
Understandable. I'm opposed to it as well.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions? Till later? Okay, no questions for now, and then we'll talk to you later, okay?
Okay.
As a resource. If there are no objections, members. Okay. I think her expertise is self-evident. May we have the next testifier, please?
The next testifier is Jeff Uyoka, testifying on resolutions 2515 and 2516, to be followed by Jen Mather.
Thank you. Good morning, council members. Here for the Aikanaha and Kilohana Makai projects, requesting certain exemptions from the conditions of 3.35070 for both projects, similar to what we did for another project, I think was in December. This time I did reach out to everyone, so just want to make that clear. So hoping we could pass this on the floor. These are 200% affordable housing projects. The urgency being for Kilohana Makai. The developers, while this isn't quite lined up, realizing the need for affordable housing, they started site work. They should be done with the site work in a few months. The funds are for the vertical their lender won't sign with these current conditions in place. So we're hoping we can move forward with that. For Aikanaha, it's in Waikapu Country Town, 212 units. Hoping to have this complete before their deadline for their LIHTC application, which is February 13th. Probably really submitting around February 10th. We do realize that 3.35070 probably needs to be updated. It's grown up a lot, chapter 3.35 since its inception. We're hoping that that discussion doesn't have to be had on these two items. It can just be a broader discussion, and we'd hope that you guys would bring in the necessary experts. Affordable Housing Fund is typically coupled with LIHTC funding, which is under the charge of HHFDC, the state agency. They should probably be at the table. Probably should be talking to someone who's smart about LIHTC financing. But those are just my suggestions. I just hope we can take this up today, get it passed so we can move forward with these projects. Thank you very much.
We have questions. Member Paulton, then Vice Chair Sugimura.
Thank you, Chair. Similar to Ms. Morrison, are you available to be a resource when the item comes up?
Sure.
Thank you. And then is the urgency on both of them? I thought you just reached out on the Aikanaha.
I did reach out on Aikanaha. My apologies on that. For Kilohana Makai, I think you guys had approved some things very recently, so I made an assumption, which I probably shouldn't have done, but I assumed everyone knew the urgency for Kilohana Makai. My apologies.
And then for the Aikanaha one, when you said it's very similar to, I guess, Waikapu Development Venture, is it same or similar, and what's the difference?
So Kilohana Makai and the Waikapu Development Venture ones, they're pretty much identical. Aikanaha gets a little different because it's a loan. It's a loan from the Affordable Housing Fund. So there's a couple extra things that need to be exempted along the same vein of all these things really limit securing additional financing for projects. And the code requires a 3% per annum loan, and we're hoping in the interest of 212 LIHTC, 60% and below units, the county could come down on the interest rate.
Okay, so the development venture is the same as Kilohana Makai.
Yeah, I haven't read that one in a while, but I would say safely that, yeah, they're similar.
Okay,
very
thanks.
Similar. Yeah.
I'll yield to my colleague.
Vice Chair Sugimura.
So in addition to this, and thank you for bringing this up, because we do want the homes to be built. So we need to do more work, you're saying, with the county housing department and HHFDC state?
Oh, I'm not telling you guys you should do anything. That would just be my suggestion.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Any more questions? If not, if you can stay, and we'll call you when this item comes up again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next testifier.
The next testifier is Jen Mather, testifying on Bills 2, 117, and 127, to be followed by Eric Mojo.
Aloha Chair Lee, honorable council members. I'm Jen Mather, submitting testimony on Bills 2, 117, and 127 on this solemn day of 137 years of belligerent occupation by the United States of America over the Kingdom of Hawaii. First, my testimony is urging you to protect the historic Punawai and the spring house at Paunau Lahaina, which is a wahipana, deeply tied to the biocultural landscape and one of the only remaining fragments of architectural heritage on this aina. The spring house, which was once known as the watering yard for Reverend William Richards Mission Station, is actually situated over a sacred Punawai, right? And that represents more than just a physical structure. It's a reminder of the connection to the ancient health and wealth of water and abundance that once sustained the people of Lahaina. So historically, as referenced in the Mahele Aina in Helu 387 to the American Board of Commissions for Foreign Missions, which is the ABCFM, right? The Punawai actually served generations of Kanaka Oiwi, providing water for families long before it was actually enclosed in 1823. Some of you may know that I actually worked for Waiola Church for nearly 10 years, which is like the direct descendant of that mission. and our Halekahu is situated, or was situated, right behind Campbell Park. So it's all part of the same complex. And this natural resource, which was super central to the life in Lahaina, it was later adapted to more community uses and then usage by ships arriving at anchor in the roadstead. So it's that sharing of wealth, right, that we always see. And this spring house stands as a tangible link to these histories. You know, it echoes the complex relationships between Kanaka, us, Hawaii, and our stewardship over our resources. And more than 200 years of settler colonialism, commercial agriculture, willful neglect, bad decisions, and then this devastating 2023 fires, we see an already fractured Lahaina cultural landscape. And so making these few remaining historical sites like the Spring House and the Punawai invaluable to the identity and the healing of our community. So it's this landmark, right, that pinpoints access to that life-giving resource which all Indigenous people revere, knowing that without it, we cease to thrive. So to allow its willful demolition would be to erase yet another layer of Lahaina's history, one that speaks to the foundational Hawaiian values of Malama Aina and our kuleana for the Vai that once created that prolific, verdant paradise of Lo'i, Kalo, and Ulula'au. And Bill 2, 117, and 127 are all Mea Aloha Aina, right? So this demolition and subsequent lifting of the spring house and its foundation, which I guess is what we're talking about today, it would uncover this ancestral water source and a vital part of Lahaina's history and ecosystem. And then what happens after that? Do you reseal it? How do we reseal something that we've all been fighting to like bring back to life, right? So this sacred punawai that nurtured the Kanaka Oiwi of Lahaina, providing for families who still live on this Aina. These people are still here, right? We are still here. This is my Aina kupuna too. So its waters are this testament to the abundance and the stewardship that defined the community before any of it was filled in by the wanton malfeasance of development and progress. I think preserving the Spring House offers us an opportunity to restore and honor Lahaina's recent historical iterations since the time of the missionaries. But should the Spring House fall, right, which is the intention, if it falls, we're then tasked with protecting the site even further, because we're reclaiming a narrative that centers Kanaka Oiwi history, resilience, and resourcefulness through our Vai. As the community rebuilds, we need to honor this deep history through preservation, cultural respect, and physical reminders that connect us to this Aina. So I know that you folks are talking about an intergovernmental agreement for demolition and then saving our pohaku kupuna and things. I'm advocating for preservation in any form. So yes, the physical structure, if that's it, but of the punawai foremost. And then, like I said, this connects to the Mea Aloha Aina of 117 and 127, right? Because that lays the foundation for a shift in paradigm for the county of Maui, understanding why and how Kanaka advocate here in front of you all the time, right? Why do we do the things that we do? Why do we say the things that we say? And without the grasp of the history behind like the superficial and, hey, I live here, I kind of know things, how things go, like attitude, people are never going to truly be able to understand or honor the place that they choose to call home, that we all choose to call home. So those 14 classes that would be made available to Maui County employees should be mandatory, especially for certain levels of management to make more informed decisions for our biocultural landscape. Mahalo.
Thank you. Members, questions? If not, thank you.
Chair, the next testifier is Eric Moto, testifying on Bills 188 and Resolution 2518, to be followed by Brenna Rawls.
Aloha Council Chair and Council members. I am Eric Moto, President of the Montukuchi Mission of Pai'ia's Administrative Board. Thank you for allowing me to present testimony again on behalf of Montukuchi in support of Bill 188 and Resolution 25-18. In my previous testimony, I spoke of Montukuchi's significant cultural and historical value as a place of Soto Zen Buddhist worship and traditional Japanese events and services for the Pai'ia community. Today, I want to remind the Council that part of Montukuchi's history includes the sand mining that took place within the Montukuchi Bay back in the 1930s. that sand mining has contributed to the deterioration of the bay and rapidly increasing shoreline erosion currently taking place. Big wave events at the start of this winter season have displaced at least 20 bags off of our recently repaired sandbag structure, and an eroded section just behind our resident minister's garage has tripled in size. The possible hazardous condition posed by the old crematorium fuel tank is an added pressing concern. The proximity of this hazard to the Montuguchi mission and the bay shoreline heightens the urgency of our response. Montuguchi's large cemetery and temple property dominates the Montuguchi site, and we have been the primary steward of the integrity of the beach coastline. We have long worked diligently with county and state and federal agencies to address and mitigate the challenges of shoreline erosion, not just for the temple membership, but for our neighbors and community visitors as well. This council's approval of the managed retreat revolving funds is a prudent and necessary step toward helping Montuguchi to remediate or remove any hazards presented by the old fuel tank and thereby safeguard our environment and protect the health and safety of our community. It is also an important step toward future efforts to fortify the bay-wide ecosystem. So in conclusion, I humbly ask once again for your support of Bill 188 and Resolution 25-18. By doing so, we can proactively prevent any potential problems and protect this cherished community landmark. Mahalo for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Members, questions? Member Paulton.
Thank you, Mr. Moto. Thank you for your taking it serious and diligence about the shoreline area. I sponsored the legislation that created the managed retreat fund, and in light of the fire last year, we had suspended future allocations to the managed retreat fund for I think it was 3 years. My question is, do you support continuation of the managed retreat fund this budget year, seeing how important it is to protect our shoreline and the environment?
Yes, I do. I don't know the details about the managed retreat revolving fund, but yeah, if it can help the Lahaina community, also other shoreline communities as well, then yes.
And this situation was exactly what I was envisioning when creating it. You know, if that type of hazard occurs, whether it's a fuel tank or a building falling into the ocean, I didn't want the county to be left holding the bag and the fallout ecologically. So thank you so much for pursuing this avenue to prevent ecological nightmare from occurring, and please do spread the word amongst your congregation about the importance of preparing for managed retreat and supporting the managed retreat fund.
Thank you. Thank you for your words of support.
Any more questions? If not, thank you. Thank you very much.
Chair, the next testifier is Brenna Rawls, testifying on Resolution 25-22, to be followed by Connie Ali'i Williams.
Good morning.
Morning.
Aloha, Chair Lee and members of the Maui County Council. My name is Brenna Rawls, and I am the staff representative here on Maui for UNAC UHCP. Thank you for the opportunity to provide testimony in support of Resolution 25-22 and to speak today on behalf of UNAC UHCP and our UNH-CEH chapter members. I want to begin by expressing our deepest gratitude for your unwavering support throughout the contract negotiations as well as our recent strike. I had the pleasure of meeting many of you throughout this process, whether it was at the strike line waving signs, working together on previous resolutions, at our bargaining info meetings at the office, or even at the bargaining session, and I can tell you it was a privilege and an honor to have you join us. Your recognition of our efforts and your continued advocacy for our core bargaining issues, which were fair wages, safe staffing, and increased rights and protections, has meant so much and impacted all of us greatly. The past few months have been incredibly challenging for healthcare workers across Maui County, but despite the struggles, we stood together, united in our belief that all workers deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. The historic victories won in this contract are not just victories for healthcare workers that are a part of Maui health system. They are victories for every resident of Maui County who relies on us for care. Thank you for standing with us in our endeavors, not just for ourselves, but for the health and well-being of the entire community. We are all connected by a shared commitment to ensuring that every person, whether they are our neighbors, friends, family, or visitors, receives the best possible care. Together, we are creating a healthier, stronger Maui, one where all workers are valued and where they are able to provide the utmost care. Thank you again for your steadfast support and for joining with us in this important work as we achieved this historic contract. And I just want to take one moment just to introduce who is up here with me. So I have Charmaine Morales. She is our UNAC UHCP president, who is here all the way from California to join us today. I have Melissa Robinson, who is our co-chair and was also a part of the bargaining team. I have Wen Vo, who is also a bargaining team member. George McElray, who is one of our members. I have Matt Pelk, who is our chair and was also a member of the bargaining team. And then Jillian May, who is one of our members as well. So thank you again so much for all the support and everything you did to help us get to where we are today.
Thank you. Members, are there any questions? If not, thank you very much and good luck to you.
Chair, the next testifier is Connie Lee Williams, testifying online. Please identify which item you'll be speaking on, Mr. Williams.
Aloha kako, can you folks hear me?
Yes.
Aloha, I'm testifying on Bill 2 regarding the demolition. I want to start by saying that I'm a lineal descendant of the Pi'ilani family with ties to Moku'ula. I was involved with the cultural reminding of Lahaina of the importance of sacred sites like Moku'ula right after the fires. I was also the first cultural monitor hired under Naikane o Maui Inc. For the Lahaina wildfire cleanup, and was on the front line regulating any mishandling of historical and cultural properties in Lahaina and monitoring them for their protection. As has been mentioned before already in this meeting, today is the 32nd year anniversary of the legal occupation of the Kingdom of Hawaii by the United States government, which this council is part of. And, you know, I wonder why this bill regarding demolition of a historical property in Lahaina, which was the original capital of the Kingdom of Hawaii, why this bill is coming up today when so many people wouldn't be able to be present here because they're preoccupied on Oahu doing the marches for today's commemoration or memory. You know, it appears to me that this bill is more of an attempt to set a precedent of further destruction of whatever remnants are left of the historical properties that managed to survive the wildfires. Because this is a intergovernmental, or trying to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with SHPTI, you know, the key word in SHPTI's name is preservation. It doesn't make sense to me to be able to enter into an agreement that would not preserve what is left of the fires. SHPTI has a fiduciary duty to preserve all the historical properties in Lahaina. And so that's the same case with this spring house. It's very simple. So I'm opposed to the demolition, and once again, those things need to be preserved because that's why we have SHPTI here. So, yeah.
Thank you. Members, questions? If not, thank you very much.
Chair, the next testifier is Zandra Amaral Kraus, testifying on resolutions 25, 14, 15, 16, 18, bills 4, 6, 7, 17, 127, 180, and 188. And Ms. Almaral Kraus, if you could just let us know when you finish testimony on each of your resos and bills so we can reset your timer.
Aloha kakaya kaku'umahu aloha. Ana ke zi ko'uinoa Zandra Amaral Kraus. Maki maki au iki ia manava e haio ko ko'umanao. I'd like to share my thoughts on first Resolution 2514. Unfortunately, I got a call this morning from Auntie Paula. And yeah, apparently she thought that was canceled. I would like to stand in favor of Vernon Kalanikau filling that position. The Kalanikau Ohana has been a part of our community as Kanaka Maolis. Vernon, and I've gone on a couple of hikes with him, knows every ditch. He knows every apu puaha. He knows every moko. From Kula through Kie through Makena, Ma'alaya. We need someone on our South Maui Advisory Committee that is knowledgeable about our Kuleana. And some of the accomplishments he's had is Maui Nui, Aupuaha Sign Project coordinator, Sanctuary Advisor County, Maui, Maui Lanai Island Burial Council, Vice Chair, Conservation Planning Committee members, Save the Wetland, Hui, co-founder, Ka'a Kanaloa Network, Maui Ka'i, member of South Maui CPAC, and he did very good in moving that forward on the interest of the local people. Contributor to cultural overlay maps for the island of Maui. Contributor to wetland overlay map for Kulikai. Cultural consultant to private landowners and developers to preserve the dignity of Maui culture, both the people and the land, the Aina and the Iwi. So I humbly ask for your support. That was the end of that one. I'm sorry.
Any questions on that subject? If not, please proceed.
I'd like to go on to Resolution 2515, the Kilohana Mai Ka'i Project, affordable housing. I know that all of you are aware personally, as our legislators, on the need for affordable houses especially. We needed it before the devastation of Lahaina, but we need it even more so, whether they be rentals, whether they be housing for sale. But the one request I would like to make, council members and Madam Chair, is that our local people, meaning generations on in who have been generations on Maui, get first dibs. Oftentimes, and I have seen as a real estate broker often, too often, including the subdivision I live in, including the subdivision my son lives in Wailuku, I'm in Kihei, where most of those homes in Wailuku are now second homes. It's sad. And in our area, I've seen too often, many of them today, had been sold for millions of dollars. I do believe in enterprise. I do believe in the right for someone to make money on their assets. But what I don't agree with is for us to continue to build homes use the headline for local people, and yet we are not. And I am well aware with the law on federal level, whenever there's grants, whenever there's federal money, we cannot say, you got to live here, you got to buy if you're from here, there. But I believe if Hawaiian Homelands can do it with a little bit of mana'o and working together with your state legislators, we can create the same guidelines and protections for our local people. I'm done with that one, if I.
Questions, members?
Thank you,
If
Chair.
not, thank you.
I'd like to go on to 2516 and not to repeat what I just said, but the same thing on the affordable homes. So I would ditto my testimony as previous, yeah, regarding the housing. Regarding Reso 2518, I had the privilege of having meetings there when I was on the association for our school, when I was on the committee for many other, to be there and golfing right next door, yeah. But I humbly ask you, do all that you can to preserve that. Because I believe it was in 18 or 1904 that was established. And if you go back and you listen to the history of that establishment, you'll find that the history goes back so far and that it involved many of the local people back then. And bringing into recognizing and taking care of our Japanese immigrants back when they were migrated for our plantations and the like. And I know you've got someone that you're going to use to be a resource person. So I'll stop there and let them continue. But I humbly ask, listen to them, because it does not only benefit the generations now, but over 150 years as well. Thank you, I'm done. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Any questions, members? If not, proceed.
Mahalo. I'd like to testify on Bill 2, if I may, regarding the demolition of Spring House, Lahaina. Back in the 1700s, my Portuguese ancestors migrated to Hawaii. My great-great-grandfather as a bookkeeper for the king. And that was where he built a house, came in on a ship, built a house, which has since been burnt down since the fire, but nobody was injured because nobody was there. But there is very few places in my humble life of 73 years here on the island of Maui and my ancestors where much of what belonged to the community and to Kanaka Maoli has been desecrated or destroyed completely. Again, I believe you have someone allocated as a resource person, so I will leave it to them because their mana'o is far greater than mine's. But I would humbly ask, take whatever they say, my friends, under advisory, because they know their kuleana and their ancestors go back far longer than I was before I was born. I'm done with that one. Mahalo. Mahalo, Chair.
Questions? If not, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to go on to Bill 4 regarding Department of Police state and federal assets forfeiture program. I'd like to humbly ask that any way this council can support the chief of police along with his staff. And being in Kihei, I can tell you resources are very limited because we've got 4 officers that are tasked with handling Kihei, Makena, and Ma'alaya. And we know that with 4 officers and 4 accidents, we are in need. And this for their properties. Is there anything we can do? And this seems like a little thing, but whatever you can do to support them, I humbly ask you to do so for the protection and safety of the Kihei community and all of Maui Nui. I'm done with that one, I'm sorry.
Any questions? If not, thank you.
I'd like to go on to Bill 6, a bill amending fiscal year budget with Department of Housing for their positions. I know all of you, some of you worked for the county before, and so you're well aware that without the resources, without the staff in the office to carry out the duties for the public, there is much that the public miss out on. Because that is the first stop for permits. That is the first stop for financing. That's the first stop for grants where they go. And so anything you guys can do to facilitate positions for the County of Maui staff, I humbly ask you support them. And not for them personally, but because they support the needs of all of your constituents. Thank you. I'm done with that one.
Questions, members? If not, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to go on to Bill 7. I was edified and absolutely thrilled to see this regarding the Maui County Fair. Anything you can do. I mean, that brings fond memories to everyone in my generation, my children, and I'd like my grandchildren to realize. I see Councilmember Cook bouncing his head, so he's ready for the Ferris wheel as well. So I doubt with this group much needs to be said, but I humbly ask you anything you guys can do for the benefit of the families. It's an activity where families can gather. So I humbly ask you to support that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Questions? If not, proceed.
Okay. Bill number 117, study workshops for employees of the County of Maui. I think Olelo Hawaii into our legislative and administrative branches are important, vitally important. Our children, except Kanaka Maoli children, Haole children, white children, all kinds of children are now. I had the privilege of substituting Lahaina Luna with their Punana Leo, and as well as Paia. And the children of Maui County and the state of Hawaii are learning their native language. And we all know that we get taken over, the first thing they take from us is the language. No matter what part of the world you're in, no matter what the dominating ruler is. But these children, the generation of my children, the 40, 50-year-olds, has taken the task of doing everything they can to learn Olelo Hawaii. So anything this council can do to educate, that empowers not only you, but your constituents, and not only Kanaka Maoli, but all of us, even the Portuguese. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Questions? If not, proceed.
On Bill 127, I will simply say, attach my previous testimony regarding Olelo Hawaii, and knowing that if you do have it both, the agendas or your whatever transmittals, in both Olelo Haole and Olelo Kanaka, Hawaiian, it would be empowering to our generations who's been here for hundreds of years, and how proud they would be to stand here or on TV called in and recite to you with their heart, with their native language. So I humbly ask you, give that consideration. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
How many more do you have?
I have as much that is constituted allowed in my testimony. I don't have very much more, and I think I'm keeping it very brief, Madam Chair.
No, thank you. It's just that other people want to testify too, yeah.
I understand, and Madam Chair, that is exactly why I'm keeping it way under 3 minutes each.
Thank you.
So I hope you appreciate that, Madam Chair. Thank you. Okay, I would like to go on to Bill 180, the catchment system. My father's family, the Amarals, and so many more of them, they live off of catchment systems. And they've been there since the 1700s, the Amarals as well as my family, the Castros here on Maui. And that works very nice for them. I know there's a lot of maneuvering, a lot of learning, but that is something that can alleviate this constant need for water, potable water, that other waters that can be used to irrigate. And I thank the hotels in Wailea, the hotel that has done that. And we all know the urgency of water shortages. Thank you. That's it.
Okay, questions? No questions? Vice Chair Sugimura.
I just want to go back to Bill 2, just for clarification with your historical family and the story you gave. So are you opposed to Bill 2 or you support it?
Okay, what?
Bill 2 is the one about the spring house and library.
Oh, I would say I'm opposed, but again, as I stipulated earlier in my testimony, Yuki, Councilmember Sugimura, is listen to the resource person that you've appointed. She, from the Lahaina Restoration, has much mana'o, and she deals with the public out there for generations on end. Yes, does that answer your question? I'm sorry. Thank you, ma'am. Okay. And Madam Chair, thank you for being our chair. I'm done.
Oh, okay. Anybody else with questions? If not, thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Council Member.
Chair, the next testifier is Autumn Ness, testifying on Resolution 2520, to be followed by Edward Cordelia.
Aloha, Council. My name is Autumn Ness. I'm here to testify on Resolution 2520. I am the Executive Director of the Lahaina Community Land Trust, and I first want to mahalo this body for your support of Lahaina Community Land Trust and the long-term protection of Aina and housing for the Lahaina community from almost day one. As you know, we're following a national community land trust model that's been proven in so many either post-disaster communities or communities that have been at risk of gentrification and displacement. We're guided by trusted experts in the field from across the continent, led by trusted Lahaina leaders, most of them with generational ties to this place, and rooted in values of this place, both Kanaka values and ones that recognize the rich tapestry of post-plantation Lahaina. We have made some huge strides, and we are just getting started. Just to give you some context, we blessed the first property that came into trust on Monday with some of you folks in this room. We're in that circle. And then we watched a Mahealani moon rise over the West Maui Mountains, and the collective feeling of hope in that space on Monday is really hard to put into words here and do it justice. I could literally hear the laughter of the kids who will be living and playing on that property in the future in my ears as we sang and prayed there. So thank you. On that property specifically, we're currently in design phases and working with the Maui Construction Industry Coalition, the Long-Term Recovery Group, to talk about what sustainable, affordable, scalable construction will look like. And I'm happy to answer any of those questions. But here, I'm here to testify in support of Resolution 2520, amending the resolution that you folks already passed to convey the property at 266 Dickinson to the Lahaina Community Land Trust so we can add it to the forever affordable housing inventory and get construction started on it ASAP. Our current landscape is that we've secured 2 parcels to date. We are under contract for an additional 2 more. Dickinson would be number 5, and we have a list of folks that we're working with in hopes that they don't have to sell their property so that they can rebuild and stay, and the land under their homes will still be protected. And then a few more that are that we're working on making offers on. We're in final stages of contract with the housing department to be able to access the affordable housing funds in the current year's budget, those funds alone will allow us to be able to secure probably another 3 parcels. And we've established an internal construction fund that will allow us to proceed with construction without having to go seek outside financing. That's going to save us time and interest. You know, the cost of capital is no small thing. So we're financially ready to start construction on parcels that we have in our portfolio. Yeah, any questions you have, I'm here to answer them.
Questions, members? Member Paulton.
I just wanted to clarify, this was required by the housing department. And she's nodding her head, yes. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, are you asking me? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
It wasn't initiated by Lahaina Community Land Trust. It was initiated by the housing department and the mayor's administration.
Yes, thank you for that clarification.
Okay, thank you.
Any more comments or questions? If not, thank you very much, and good luck to you, Ms. Ness.
Chair, the next testifier and currently last person assigned up is Edward Cordelia, testifying on resolutions 2515, 16, and 20.
Good morning. My name is Edward Cordelia. I'm here testifying as myself, as a resident of Maui, 35 years now. Opposition to Resolution 2520. The resolution highlights a troubling decision by the Maui County Council to bypass standard procedures for the disposal of public properties. By waiving requirements for public auction and appraisal as outlined in the Maui County Code, the council has effectively eliminated critical safeguards designed to ensure transparency, fairness, and the best possible return on public assets. This move undermines the principles of accountability and raises serious questions about the motivations behind such actions. Public auctions and appraisals are fundamental components of responsible governance. Auctions provide an open and competitive process that ensures equal access and prevents favoritism, while appraisals determine the true market value of public properties, protecting taxpayers from potential losses. Waiving these requirements removes essential checks and balances, opening the door to backroom deals and favoritism without public input or scrutiny. The disposition of properties risks being driven by special interests rather than broader community needs. While extraordinary events like the fires of August 2023 have created pressing challenges, they do not justify circumventing procedural safeguards in unrelated tax and property transactions. That's it for that.
Questions, members? Member Paulton.
Are you aware that this property was purchased with affordable housing funds?
Tax-free dollars, yeah, I'm aware. I know how it was acquired. I know.
And so it is not able to be auctioned off for the highest and best value to anyone.
Okay, so why is it one group that gets the benefit of the lot? Why is it that group that takes over?
Are you aware that it was previously offered to Nahaleo Maui and they turned it down?
No, I'm not aware of that. Was that the only one you offered it to? Look, I'm here to testify, right? I don't know what you guys are doing behind the scenes. That's my question. The answer to your question is no, I don't know everything about the property.
Are you aware this is a public process right here?
This is a public process, so nobody else is involved in it. So you just determined, because I've been following it for a little while, and it seems that you've decided that you just want to give this lot to this group that was formed after the fires. There are a lot of other groups on island that are that do this, and I just don't know if you've offered it to it.
I informed you that
Okay, so
approached
I'm sorry,
Nahaleo
you're
Maui
offended by my
first.
testimony? Is that
No,
what
I'm
you're telling
trying
me?
to clarify
I
that
just
you
gave you my
don't know this
testimony. See,
information.
so what do you want from me? What would you like me to say?
I just asked you the question and then you answered it, and then I asked you another question. And
I don't know about Nahali. I don't know the history of your lot.
Okay,
Of what you're
thank
doing
you.
here.
Thank you. Just answer yes or no. That's okay.
All right.
Yep.
The answer would be no, I guess, to the second part of her question. Can I go on?
Well, let's see if anybody else, do you have any more questions?
I don't think it would be productive.
Okay. We have Member Rollins online has a question for you. You can look at the monitor
Hello,
in
Chair.
front of you. No, in front of you.
No, you can look forward. It's okay. You can look forward. It looks better when you look forward for the TV anyway. Aloha, Mr. Cordelia. Mahalo for your testimony. I guess to better understand the groups that you were referencing in your testimony to clarify, were there affordable housing, long-term affordable housing groups that were interested? Is that what you were saying?
No, I wasn't saying anything about anybody being interested in this lot. My question is, are we following the right procedures? And if we are, that's great. And if we're not, follow the procedures. That's really what it's about, as far as I'm concerned right now.
Mahalo for that clarification. Mahalo, Chair.
Any other questions? If not, thank you very much.
I got
Well, you want another item? Go ahead.
one or two other.
Sure.
Resolution 2515 and 2516. For decades, developers on Maui have sought to make changes to approved projects after securing approvals, allocating funds, and doing little to nothing on the ground. The pattern of after-the-fact modifications is unacceptable unless specific conditions should be met. Ground should be broken, infrastructure improvements should be underway, and if you made payments to the developer, these are reasonable expectations for holding developers accountable. You need answers before entertaining any modifications. What are the projected prices for homes classified as affordable for purchase, not rental? When will the first home be available? Who are the local subcontractors, and are they unionized? These details matter, and so does enforcing the original conditions of approval. Construction projects often require adjustments, but when the county sets clear requirements for a project, like breaking ground, putting infrastructure in place, or surveying lots, those requirements should be upheld. Anything less erodes trust in the public process and contributes to the worsening of our housing crisis. Developers often blame regulations for delays. If those regulations were met when the project was approved, they agreed to the terms and they should follow through. The county has to stop enabling the pattern of wasted time and money and hold developers to their commitments. It's time to enforce approvals, prioritize accountability, and focus on real solutions for the housing crisis. Thank you.
Any questions, members? If not, thank you very much. Ms. Clerk?
Chair, the current last testifier is Aaron Wade testifying on Bill 2.
Good morning.
Morning.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members. I just wanted to stop down and share a little bit of information about Bill 2 and my involvement with the debris removal process. So you have just a little additional background on that. For all the historic properties that require debris removal, consultation took place with the with FEMA for the Section 106 process to determine what would or could be allowable in terms of debris removal, and consultations took place with the community per the prescribed process. For this particular property, we did work with the property owner and offer several options because it felt like this could be one of the most potentially salvageable projects. Initially, we offered acquisition if that was of interest voluntarily. That wasn't an interest. And so we proceeded to find out what could be workable. We discussed casually some development agreement opportunities, working with nonprofits to see if they could preserve and the owner could develop. There were so many unknowns still at the time to know how structurally sound the building actually was, to what extent the damage had caused. And so working through the process, the owner elected to demolish with the intent to restore or preserve the stone to save for either full or partial reconstruction at a later date. That is the process for private property owners. They do have the ability to elect when it is owned privately, and the state and county and feds follow that process. So since that was their election, what we wanted to do in order to ensure the stone could be made safe and brought back and the restoration to the greatest extent possible could be facilitated, we offered as the county to store the stone for the property owner on behalf of them in order to ensure it would be safe and that it could come back at a future date. That is basically the generally what the MOU states and was our best option at the time given the circumstances.
Questions, Member Cook?
Thank you for your testimony and clarification. So is the intent and the agreement with the owner to rebuild with the stones? Did you get the impression that the owner is intending to rebuild the structure historically and maintain the same use?
Chair.
Yes.
Thank you for the question. I spoke with the owner several times and again this morning. They have not yet retained an architect and have been waiting to kind of see what the time frame was going to be. The intention expressed is to either partially or completely rebuild as part of their reconstruction. They don't have a clear plan for what is going to be rebuilt on the remainder of the property. They no longer have a lease tenant for the parcel.
Member Paulson, please.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Ms. Wade. First clarification, you said at that time, is it still the best option today?
Chair.
Yes, please.
Yes, thank you. In terms of best option for the private owner, I confirmed with them this morning that they still believe this to be their best option. It is, since it's privately owned, I think the county has a different need, the community has a different need and interest. But since we don't own it currently, it has to be the private property owner driving the process.
And to clarify, if this were not to pass today, it would still be demolished. It's just we wouldn't have an agreement to preserve the Pohaku Kupuna.
Yes, Ms. Wade.
Thank you. My understanding is the owner intends to demolish either through Army Corps of Engineers or by their own means for the purposes of reconstruction. And yes, we would not have then, we would have no ability to ensure that the Pohaku is safe and able to be reutilized if it doesn't pass.
Is there any possibility that like what is reconstructed would be like a bar or other things of that nature?
Ms. Wade?
Currently, the zoning district's Historic District 2, so any uses that the owner would like to pursue under Historic District 2 would be eligible to submit for a Historic District permit.
And they haven't specified that they wanted to reconstruct a spring house?
Ms. Wade?
I have nothing official in writing. We just have conversations that were documented in the consultation for the Section 106 with the intention to partially or completely rebuild based on what's possible, what they're able to work out with the architect.
And as one of the previous testifiers said, it's a source of water underneath. It's a spring, and as the slab is demolished, do we allow construction over water like that?
Thank you. Yeah, that's because it is in the historic district and it depends on what is pursued in terms of reconstruction. They may and likely will be subject to Historic District Review, Cultural Resource Commission, Chapter 343 environmental review process, and all of that would have to be vetted through that.
Notwithstanding the fast tracking we're pursuing?
Ms. Wade?
Thanks. I think that's kind of a extensive question that I don't know that I can answer without having a better understanding of what's being asked. Yeah, in their reconstruction.
And the county did offer to purchase it.
That's correct. We offered voluntary acquisition at the time, and I should say informally. We did not offer any request for acquisition via a letter. This was all just informal as part of the Section 106 consultation.
Why was eminent domain not considered?
At the time, we didn't know what our financial resources were going to be. The consultation process happened through the late spring, early summer, and we didn't have a full picture of what our resources could be at the time. I think, and nor did we pursue whether there was the public need to be able to justify doing that.
Can you speak to the urgency? Because we're requesting to pass it on the floor as well as hold a special council meeting before the end of the month. And I was wondering if you could explain the urgency.
Ms. Wade?
Happy to do so. So the Army Corps of Engineers team is actually complete with their debris removal, with the exception of the old Lahaina store where Fleetwood's was and this property. This is the last on their runway, and they're done at the end of February. Because there isn't, and we have no intention to extend their debris removal efforts. So if it can't be confirmed that we would take on the pohaku for our care, the Section 106 process would become void, and they would not be allowed to demo, the Army Corps would not be allowed to demo the spring house, and they would move on with that remaining standing.
Okay, Member Paulton, I'm gonna have to ask Ms. Wade if you can return as a resource person.
Yes, I can do so.
Okay. Can everybody wait until then?
I'll wait.
All right, if there are no objections, I'd like to call a 10-minute recess. Yep, so ordered.
Is public testimony still open?
Still open.
Okay.
Yep. Will the council meeting of January 17th, 2025 please reconvene? Ms. Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next and currently last testifier is Dalia Villaflores, testifying on Bill 7.
Morning, Council Chair, Council members.
Morning.
Hi, my name is Dahlia, and I'm here my testimony is actually for Bill 7. I'm in support of it. I mean, I know there was a lot of things mentioned earlier about the positives, but I do want to add another thing is that I think anything that reinforces our community and, increases our level of connectivity is a good thing. So I'm hoping that you will vote in favor of it. I'm begging, actually. The children would be pleased. Also, I think it also allows I don't know if anyone has considered that the police, when they're there, they usually are managing the traffic, but they're also handling by the photo booths. So I think it lets people know that the police is also still part of our family. They're not like some abstract outsider. So that's a point to consider as well. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Are there any questions, members? If not, thank you.
Chair, currently we have no one else signed up to testify at the beginning of the meeting, so we'll go ahead and J.C. Law is making his way to the podium.
Aloha kakayaka, aloha kako, aloha akaku. I like the little timer thing. I hope I don't run into the red. I didn't prepare very much for this, and there's several items that I'd like to speak to. And so the current event, the current topic of a discussion is the, and I didn't bring my notes, but the Punuvai, the spring house in Lahaina. I vote no for that. And I'm glad that the testifiers came and kind of explained it a little bit, because I was, I wouldn't say confused, but I have more information now. I'm very interested in historic preservation, and I'm wondering if the Wailuku Historic the Preservation, I'm not sure what the exact name for them was, would be interested in looking at that. If it was 1823, it was probably before they even came up with laws around here. It was under the kingdom law, so I'm not sure even if the laws should apply for that. I met Theo Morrison a long time ago when I went to Lahaina when I first got here and asked her about recycling, and she wasn't very interested in that, so I don't know how that kind of involves. Yeah. Everything I'm going to say in the future is going to involve recycling, whatever. I'll tie it in somehow. And this time, I don't know, it has the public library in there also. Now, it says public library, so if they demolish that, I'm not sure if they said anything about that being historic, but we do need books, especially Hawaiian Olelo books. And one recommendation that I'd like to make on that one is one reservation that no one can be banned from the library. I wouldn't say for any reason, but you know what I mean. It's like just because the administrator doesn't like you shouldn't be a reason for not being banned. Thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you very much.
I'll be back.
Chair, the next and currently last testifier is Mike Foley. Mr. Foley, please let us know which item you're testifying on.
Yes, aloha. Good morning, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the Council. Mike Foley here. I'm a coastal engineer with Oceanet. I'm testifying on Bill 188 and also Resolution 25-18. So I've been working with Montecucci since 2018 as their consultant to help advise on their erosion trend, which has been impacting the property for decades. Shoreline erosion is a pressing issue for Montecucci. We're definitely facing an environmental and cultural disaster. With the current rate of erosion, we're going to lose the historic temple property. We're currently losing, as you probably all know, much of the cemetery graves are falling into the ocean, and it's just a matter of time until we lose the historic temple itself. There's other structures on the property that have been impacted, and the massive swell that Maui encountered, the state encountered, just a couple weeks ago with the Eddie Aikau surf event held at Waimea. Well, Jaws that day, as you know, was a big surf day, and unfortunately that led to a lot of energy impacting Montecucci shoreline, which caused significant erosion and damage to the temporary erosion control structure. This bill is important because it addresses an exposed fuel line along the shoreline at Montecucci. And this fuel line used to once power the flames of the crematorium on the property, which was part of the historic congregation itself. And that crematorium structure has long since been eroded and fallen onto the beach and into the ocean. But the fuel lines remain. There's a buried fuel tank someplace in the property. And really the intention of this bill is to help provide funding for Montecucci to properly investigate that fuel tank, those fuel lines, locate that structure, and remediate it in a safe and in compliance with state regulations and county regulations, taking into account all the cultural significance of the property as well and historic resources. So it's an important issue. It's also important not only for the people of Maui and the culture, but also from the environment. There's significant wildlife in this bay, and over the last year, thank you, we documented at least 60 sea turtles.
Yeah, thank you. And what was the other item?
The other item is Resolution 25-18.
Please start.
Thank you. I'll continue since this resolution is connected. So as I was saying, we documented over 60 sea turtles basking at the beach. This is within close proximity to the exposed fuel lines on the beach. And really, this is an important step in terms of adapting Montecucci to climate change, and also to address the erosion risks, which are largely due to an ecosystem being out of balance. Montecucci once featured a beautiful wide sandy beach with a coastal dune. Starting in the 1930s, Maui County mined that beach to use the sand for public infrastructure to basically make concrete. And without a healthy sand beach, there is no buffer for erosion. So Montecucci has, the bay has significantly degraded water quality, which has led to other impacts to the ecosystem itself, a decline in ecosystem health, coral coverage. The coral reef is an important feature not only for the wildlife, but also to provide resilience to the property against coastal forces by breaking waves and dissipating energy. So it is some of, I would say, Maui County's kuleana to help Montecucci, to help make up for the use of its sand in the past, and to help that property and that congregation and our community adapt to this new climate. And that's it. I'm happy to answer any questions. Aloha.
Member Paulton?
Thank you, Chair. I would consider you, with your professional expertise in this field, an expert. I wanted to clarify, is the Montecucci property unique in the county in facing these challenges?
Thank you, Councilmember Paulton, for the question. It is not unique, I would say, in the county in terms of its challenges. I think many properties many properties in Maui County are facing this situation. I would say Montecucci is unique in its severity. We don't have much time, if any time, left for Montecucci before the impacts expand to the structures, to a historic structure, and that is a unique aspect. It's unique in this.
You've
in that
answered
sense.
my question, and given that answer, I wanted to clarify, do you support the reinstatement of the allocation to the managed retreat fund, as this seems to be the tip of the iceberg that we're encountering?
Oh yes, absolutely. I would support that. I think managed retreat is a very important tool for Maui County and for the state in general. And having that tool as an option is important, and I applaud Maui County for taking that step initially. So I would very much support that.
I look forward to seeing you in the congregation come budget to reinstate the managed retreat fund.
Okay, thank you.
I would be happy to be there. Thank you.
Anybody else? If not, thank you very much. May we have the next testifier, please?
Chair, currently there are no testifiers, so we'll go ahead and give last call for anyone who wishes to testify at the beginning of the meeting on any item on the meeting agenda. Chair, seeing no one making their way to the podium, we'll go ahead and give last call, counting down 3, 2, 1. Chair, there's no one else to testify.
Members, are there any objections to closing public testimony and accepting written testimony for the beginning of the meeting?
No objections.
So ordered, Ms. Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Moving on to communications, we'll go ahead and call for testimony on communications. I see J.C. Law making his way to the podium. Currently, he is the only testifier.
There's only one now.
Ho'o Luna Maulu Lee. I think that's right. I got a new shirt from, oh shoot, I forgot my notes again. I'll catch you on the next one.
Yeah, this is on the Lanai.
Yeah, Hawaiian Word of the Day. That's what I was going to start with, but there's so many things that go together. I'm trying to separate it. I'm not as good as you at that. So aloha kakahiaka, aloha kako, aloha akaku. County Communications 25-3 was the first on the agenda when I came to the 7th floor yesterday. And I was at the meetings, so maybe it's just me trying to follow all this code stuff. And I appreciate you guys keeping track of all this numbers and codes and everything. So I don't want to see anybody get fired from the clerk's office. But it's very hard to communicate with the county communications people when they shut the doors and tell you no, and you have no phone and no computer, and the library girl says, no, you're not allowed in here. And it's like waste of time for.
Okay, this has to do with a procedural matter concerning the community plan.
Yeah.
So, are you
right, I read the thing, and I spoke with Mr. Johnson briefly. And so if I can get a close-up akaku, this shirt here I got from Kako'o, says Johnson Brothers.
Okay, how is that related to the item?
A tradition of excellence.
Okay.
Because Mr. Johnson's going to have a very good year, and I caution you guys to stay out of his way.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
And I'm his brother. I'm right behind him. So I went to the clerk's office to try. I've been going to these things a long time, and I'm trying to follow along. Like I said, I don't have a computer, so I wanted to read this County Communications 25-3, and it was unavailable. So thank you for hiring the ambassador, because he got it for me. But all it is a bunch of surveyors stuff. So I'll recycle the paper, and I'll use the pages that are blank to write letters back home to my folks.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
I'm still in the green.
Yeah, you may have time, but you have to talk about the subject at hand.
Right, I got it right here. That's what
I know you talked about your shirt. You talked about Member Johnson.
Right.
Let's talk about the item CC 25-3, okay?
Okay, so it's about a public hearing, and I was unsure that if this was the public hearing, that what what I should say because, like I said, I've been trying to, it all looks pretty good where I guess the only thing I have to say about this is my observation that the company that did the surveying was from a different island. And so Lanai needs more representation and support from you guys. Thank you very much.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Chair, currently there is no one else to testify on the communication item, so we'll give last call. Counting down 3, 2, 1. Chair, there's no one indicating they wish to testify.
Members, any objections to closing public testimony and accepting written testimony on communications? So ordered, Ms. Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Before you is County Communication 25-3 from Council Chair Lee, transmitting an amendment to Bill 3, 2025, entitled A Bill for an Ordinance to Ratify Ordinance 5702, 2024, amending the Lanai Community Plan for 268.349 acres located in Lanai City, Lanai, Hawaii, identified as tax map keys 249001021, 024, and 030. 249002001 portion, 061 portions, 2490018, 002 portions, 003 portions, 005, and 249021009, 11A Project District 2, Ko'ele.
Pro Tem Kama.
Thank you, Chair. So, Chair, may I ask that this item be postponed until Bill 3 is considered later in our agenda today?
No objections.
Any objections, members? So ordered. Ms. Clerk.
Chair, we're moving on to resolutions. At this time, individuals may testify on the resolutions listed on today's agenda. Chair, the only person we currently have signed up to testify is Josiah Nishita.
Is he online?
We've let him know that we're getting to resolutions. Maybe we can just, it looked like Mr. Law wanted to testify again. We could start there.
Can somebody please call Mr. Nishita? Okay, no, you can go. Call on the telephone.
JC Law, Resolution 2518. Let me go for the Hawaiian word of the day first. Ka ko'o, to uphold, support, favor, assist, prop up. This goes good with this one for the beaches. To bind, as with a sash or belt, support, aid, recommendation, girdle. I remember when one of the hotels came from the west side asking for assistance with when the hotel was getting ready to fall in the ocean and they were asking for money. And I forget the guy's name. That's the guy that represented Wailuku before you, Madam Chair. Alika Atai, I think his name was. And he said, well, he didn't tell them to build the hotel on the beach in the first place, so why has he got to pay for it?
Are you speaking on Resolution 25-18?
Yeah. Privately owned property owned by Manti Ochuki Mission of Paia, Maui. So I'll throw that, I guess that's kind of like a church.
Yes.
Now, I mean, some of you know that what my beef against churches are, so that's the first thing I got. But in Paia, there's a lot of houseless people, and I'm wondering how many houseless people that church is helping, and how much recycling are they doing on that spot? I never had a problem. I visited a couple times, and nobody bothered me, but I never tried to hang around there for very long. But the representative, he seemed like a pretty nice guy, so I would support this resolution.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And then, were we able to contact Mr. Nishita? Not responding. Please proceed.
Chair, then we'll do last call for resolutions. The countdown is 3, 2, 1. Chair, there's no one indicating a desire to testify on resolutions.
Any objections to closing public testimony and accepting written testimony on resolutions? Okay, so ordered. I think Ms. Wade is here for Mr. Nishita, right? No, okay. Well, I can talk for him.
Not for the Paia one. She's here for the Springhouse one.
Yeah, okay. All right, proceed, Ms. Clerk.
Chair, before you is Resolution 2512, authorizing additional compensation related to Special Counsel Katin Muchin Rosenman, LLP, as the County Maui's Bond and Disclosure Counsel for the next general obligation bond issuance, other bonds, and other legal services.
Member U'u Hodgins.
Thank you, Chair. I move to adopt Resolution 25-12.
Second.
Moved by Member Hodgins, seconded by Vice Chair Sugimura. To adopt Resolution 25-12, discussion, Member Hodgins.
Thank you again, Chair. The Department of Finance is requesting council authorization for additional compensation to Catton for an amount not to exceed $169,000. The money will be used for payment of services through June 30th, 2024, when the county's contract with Catton was terminated. Approval of this resolution requires 2/3 vote by the entire membership of the council. Now, at this time, I respectfully ask for the member's support of this motion. Thanks, Chair.
Any more discussion? Member Paulton.
I guess I wasn't expecting this on the floor, but would it require a budget amendment? Like where is the money to pay them coming from? Or it was previously allocated, it just wasn't paid because they were let
We'll
go?
just ask Corp Council.
Oh, okay.
Corporation Council.
Thank you. I believe the funds will be coming from the general fund, and we will not require a budget amendment.
Because it was already allocated for them through June 2024?
I believe the specific amount in this was not, but there is enough for special counsel funds.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Member Johnson.
Chair, I see Director Maria Zielinski is on the call, and she had raised her hand. Maybe she could respond to that question.
Thank you. I don't see her, but Ms. Zielinski, if you're there?
Yes. Thank you, Chair. Do you hear me?
Yes. Would you like to answer the question?
It is. Yes, we do have the budget provision. It's under county-wide, but the budget is there is money in there, so there's no requirement or need for a carryover to use carryover savings.
All right. Any more questions? Okay, do I need roll call? No? All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand, say aye. 9 ayes, 0 noes, motion carries. Ms. Clerk.
Chair for referral to the Government Relations Ethics and Transparency Committee is Resolution 2513, authorizing settlement of Hawaiian Telecom, Inc. versus County of Maui, Abraham Park et al., civil number 2CCV 23000401.
Any objections to this referral? So ordered. Ms. Clerk.
Chair, before you is Resolution 2514, appointment of a member to the South Maui Advisory Committee to the Maui Planning Commission for the County of Maui.
Member Hodgins.
Thank you, Chair. I move to file Resolution 25-14.
Second.
Moved by Member Hodgins, seconded by Member Sinensi, to file Resolution 2514. Discussion. Member Hodgins.
Thank you, Chair. Under Section 2.28.050 Maui County Code, the mayor and the council each have unilateral appointment authority for designated seats, so a resolution submitting a nomination for council's consideration is not the correct process. Since the council missed its deadline to fill this seat during the last nomination process, an ordinance will need to be introduced to fill the gaps in the charter relating to this appointment or to restructure the advisory committees before an appointment can be made. Before I ask for the members' support of my motion, I would like to personally note that I would have been happy to support Mr. Kalanikau, but this is just a procedural issue and not a personal issue, and I look forward to seeing his name come back before us. But at this time, I respectfully ask for the members' support of my motion.
Member Bolton.
Thank you. I'm just a couple of clarifications. So Mr. Ward resigned and there's currently no one from South Maui?
Mr. Ward, we put on the Planning Commission and therefore was required to resign. So yes, we do need somebody to put in his space.
Oh, sorry, I misunderstood. This is for the South Maui Advisory.
Yes, Advisory Committee. And then while I have the mic on, this is part of the issue that we were discussing last term. And so I spoke to Mr. Rotz before this meeting, and they're working on some language for us, and we can hopefully get this figured out soon, because it's not just this seat that's impacted, but several.
Thank you.
Of course.
Any more questions? If not, all those in favor of the motion to file, please raise your hand, say aye. 9 ayes, 0 noes, motion carries. Ms. Clerk?
Chair, before you is Resolution 2515, approving exceptions from the conditions of Section 3.35070 Maui County Code for the Kilohana Makai project.
Wait, Mr. Uyoka, could you come up, just in case? And now, Member Hodgins.
Thank you, Chair. I move to adopt Resolution 25-15.
Moved by Member Hodgins, seconded by Pro Tem Kama, to adopt the resolution 2515. Discussion, Member Hodgins.
Thank you, Chair. Members, Section 3.35.070 Maui County Code subjects a grant or loan agreement to the distribution of funds from the Affordable Fund to certain conditions and restrictions unless the council approves otherwise by resolution. Resolution 25-15 would grant certain exceptions to the conditions and restrictions of Section 3.35.070 for the Kilohana Makai project in Kihei being developed by Aina Lani Pacific LLC. As a reminder, the council approved nearly $5 million grant from the Affordable Housing Fund for this project by Ordinance 5618 in fiscal year 2024. Because Kilohana Makai is a for-sale project, Aina Lani Pacific is unable to comply with some of the requirements of this section. The exemptions Aina Lani Pacific is requesting are described in Exhibit 1 of the resolution, and I respectfully ask the member support of my motion, and we do have Mr. Uyoka here if we have any questions. Thank you, Chair.
Discussion, Member Paulton.
I don't mean to give Mr. Uyoka a hard time, but I just was wondering why this wasn't submitted at the same time as your development venture one. Like, are we expecting more of these? Or, I mean, if it's functionally the same, like one fell swoop?
Member, not member, but Mr. Uyoka.
We've been working with the Department on Housing or me personally, for 3 of them. So I think they just were approved in different stages. So that's why the separation. For the ones I'm working on, these 2 are the last ones for now.
For now?
Well, okay. There's a new funding season coming up, right? So.
And you think we can fix 3.35.070 before the new funding season, or what?
I'm optimistic.
Okay. All right, and this one and Aikanaha are similar exceptions as to the development venture, but when Aikanaha comes up, you'll explain how it's not as similar?
Yes, I'll explain the additional requests.
Okay. That concludes my question.
Yes, Corp Counsel.
Thank you, Chair. When you read 3.35070, these conditions are in there, but it does say, unless otherwise approved by council. So council has the authority to, as a matter of law, to determine whether or not these provisions remain or not, which is what Mr. Uyoka's request is. So I don't know that it needs to be fixed. It does allow you to approve the waiver of these conditions if it's the will of the body.
Okay, then I have another question. Mr. Uyoka, were you the lawyers for Aina Lani when we were creating the ordinance?
You mean the change in zoning ordinance? Which ordinance?
The 3.35.
Oh, the grant. Yeah, I've been working with Mr. Kihuni. And again, there was the grant award from the council, and then when we got the loan or the grant agreement, just in the interest of urgency, it was signed, realizing that there were a couple problems, and now we want to move, or I shouldn't say problems, just a couple things that lenders, additional source lenders, don't feel good that the county's committed, or Ainalani's committing to the county on these things because they're putting a lot of the money in and they want certain commitments in case something bad happens.
So just to clarify, if we go through a 3.35 or 0.070 grant award again, we could take care of this on the front end because you're already familiar that the lenders are uncomfortable with those conditions?
I guess it would be, the appropriation would be done through a budget ordinance. I guess there could be a companion resol to the budget ordinance or whatever process housing. Eventually it will need a ordinance, to do an appropriation. So just be a companion resol to take care of these things.
Like Mantokuji? Companion resol.
Oh, yeah. Yes, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that next time.
I'll try.
Thank you.
Any more? Yes, Mr. Johnson?
Thank you, Chair. How long was the process with the housing department?
We started shortly after the fiscal year started.
Shortly after July 1st?
Yes, sir.
So it sat within the department until now when your deadline is February 13th, is that correct?
Oh, that's Kilohana. This is Kilomahanam. That one's Aikana. I don't want to speak to the internal processes. I know I worked here a little while, so there's a whole bunch of steps, of course. So, yeah, sorry. Thank you.
I know Corporation Council says we have the right to waive a lot of these things, and, that's wonderful. But if we constantly come up with different projects that we have to keep waiving these things, I wonder if it's time to fix the code. If it's not working and we keep putting out exemption this, exemption that, wouldn't it be just smart to fix the things that are broken within the code as opposed to laying it on the council's desk to say, give them an exemption for this, give them an exemption for that? So I'm curious on maybe Councilmember Kama's scheduling. Maybe we could schedule this item in the committee to kind of hammer out what isn't working for these folks, especially when we're talking about, is that 212 units? Or how many units are we talking?
This one's 28. Aikana has 200.
Okay, thank you. For
rentals.
For these units that are very important, we should be acting with some kind of haste. And if it's us always having to come and exempt this and exempt that, then maybe we could put it in a hearing in our HLU committee and maybe sort out some of those issues. And I like maybe Councilmember Kama, how's your schedule? Is that something you'd be interested in?
Okay, very good. Any more questions for the testifier? If not, thank you. Member Rollins Fernandez?
Hello, Chair. Sorry. I don't have a question for Mr. Uyoka. You're welcome. I just have a quick comment that I agree with First Deputy Corp Counsel Desjardins that because the law currently gives us the flexibility to exempt, if the policy is such that it's something that we see as the general rule, and I agree with Member Johnson, we can have the discussion in HLU since HLU chair is open to having that discussion. But my understanding is when we approve these projects and the housing department executed the contracts in working with the developers, that these policies weren't an issue. And recently, they've become an issue in with the financing companies. And so for those that we already approved, that's the projects that we're seeing now. And as Member Paulton stated earlier, moving forward, if this problem persists, then it's something that we can address at the front end and not have to continue to take these bills up and make these amendments to exempt them from this section of 3.35. Then, now we know is basically, where we're at now. Mahalo, Chair.
Thank you. Any more comments or questions? All right. Then we have a motion on the floor. Let's see, where was I? Resolution 2516, oh, well, first of all, 15. Any more comments or questions on 2515? Motion is to adopt. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your hand, say aye. 9 ayes, 0 noes, motion carries. Next resolution, Ms. Clerk.
Chair, before you is Resolution 2516, approving exemptions from and modifications to the requirements of Section 3.35070 Maui County Code for Aikanaha residents Phase 1 and 2 in the Waikapu Country Town District.
Pro Tem Kama.
Chair, this is Member Hodgins.
Okay. I have the wrong name. Member Hodgins.
Thank you, Chair. I move to adopt Resolution 25-16.
Moved by Member Hodgins, seconded by Pro Tem Kama to adopt Resolution 2516. Discussion, Member Hodgins.
Thank you again, Chair. Resolution 25-16 would grant certain exemptions from and a modification to the conditions and restrictions of Section 3.35.070 for Aikanaha residences, Phases 1 and 2 being developed by Aikanaha Partners LP. The Council approved 2 $7 million loans, one for each of the phase of this project from the Affordable Housing Fund in the fiscal year 25 budget. The exemptions and modifications Aikanaha Partners is requesting are described in Exhibit 1 of the resolution. And at this time, I respectfully ask for the motion, the member support of my motion. And I want to remind everyone that they have a deadline of February 13th, which is the absolute last day for additional funding. So it is quite urgent. Thank you, Chair.
Any more questions or comments? Member Paulton.
Oh, I just was wondering if we could hear from the resource and how this is different than what we have done for the Kilohana Makai project and the development venture.
Okay, Mr. Uyoka.
Oh,
sorry, I couldn't meet before.
Thank you. No problem. So this one just kind of expands on the other ones by we can't really do a first mortgage lien in favor. So this is going to be a LIHTC project. So it's 60% and below for probably 60 years plus. So there's certain requirements.
Or definitely.
Oh, I think if it goes, it'll go higher than 60 plus years. I think that's the limit, the low limit. Anyway, not a LIHTC expert, but in talking with the LIHTC experts on this, they did assure me that the agreement that if they are awarded the LIHTC fund, there's a lot of guardrails in place through the HHFDC side. But the county code requires a first mortgage lien in favor of the county, and that's problematic for this type of funding. The second one is, as I mentioned in testimony, the interest rate is at 3% per annum, and I believe it was discussed previously, and it was a 0.25% per annum interest rate just to assist the property as time goes on. And the last one is from 3.35070C, requiring that if the borrower defaults or the project is not serving affordable housing needs as set forth in this chapter, the following may be required: forfeit the property or full repayment of the principal balance. And again, that comes back to we're signing other agreements or going to be signing other agreements with other parties that have an interest, and we probably won't be okay if we sign this with the county. And this loan agreement has not been signed. We're still in draft with Corporation Counsel, waiting on these exemptions.
2 questions on those. The first one is, what if the LIHTC funding doesn't get approved and then we don't have those guardrails? And then the second question is, what is the county's recourse on the loan if we're not first in line?
So the county would be, or to answer the second question first, the county will have a lien, of course, on the property. Yeah, it just won't be the first one, or it'll be subordinated at a later date when the other ones come up.
Okay.
And your guardrails that are in place it still is subject to the Waikapu Country Town area. The land is dedicated to that type of use. it's not going to go anywhere. And these guys, again, you'll have a mortgage if it goes strange. And to be fair, if they don't get the LIHTC funding, yeah, this project's probably not going anywhere for a long time.
Okay, you know we did just get like 1.6 billion for housing though, right?
I heard. I don't know how much of it's going to come to Waikapu, but we'd love to see it. We want to see that project move forward.
Okay, I mean, we need housing.
Agreed.
Okay, so if you don't get the LIHTC funding, we still want you to keep working.
Oh yeah, no. We're not going to give up. I promise. It's just another hurdle and things we have to look at. It takes time.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Any more comments or questions? If not, thank you, Mr. Uyoka. Okay, ready for the vote, everybody? Everybody in favor of the motion, please raise your hand, say aye. 9 ayes, 0 noes, motion carries. Ms. Clerk.
Chair, before you is Resolution 2517, authorizing additional compensation related to the employment of Special Counsel, ESNA, Inc., a law corporation in Alexa Jacobs versus Clifton Pereira et al., Civil 2 CCV 2300000185.
Member Hodgins.
Thank you, Chair. I move to adopt Resolution 25-17.
Moved by Member Hodgins, seconded by Vice Chair Sugimura, to adopt Resolution 25-17. Discussion. Member Hodgins. Oh, what happened on the screen?
Uh-oh.
We'll take a 5-minute recess, but please don't go anywhere. 5 minutes, so 11:32 recess. Will the council meeting of January 17th, 2025 please reconvene, Ms. Clerk?
Chair, we had a motion on the floor under Resolution 2517, made by Member Hodgins and seconded by Vice Chair Sugimura, to adopt.
Any more discussion? Ms. Hodgins.
Yes, thank you, Chair. The Department of Corporation Counsel is requesting council's authorization for additional compensation to ES&A Inc., a law corporation, for the representation of Clifton Pereira. I'll wait so the reverb stops. That's okay. Oh, no, not yet. Is it good? Okay, we're great. Thank you. Clifton Pereira, Jeremy Pallone, Della Torre, Andrew Cabal, and Nolan Wada in Alexa Jacobs v. Clifton Pereira et al. By $155,000 for a total compensation not to exceed $330,000. And at this time, I respectfully ask the member support for my motion. Thank you, Chair.
Any more discussion, Member Paulton?
I'm not sure who the question is for, but this is in alignment with what the police commission said, that we have to represent these individuals.
Corp Counsel?
Yes, this is for their representation previously approved by the Police Commission for the defense of these individuals.
And if we did not approve it, then we're in violation?
We would be, or the council would be acting in contravention of the Police Commission's recommendation.
What are the consequences to that?
That's an interesting question. I'd have to research that a little more.
Thank you.
Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor of the motion, please raise your hand, say aye. Member Paulton? Oh, okay. 8 ayes, 0 noes, 1 excused, motion carries.
Chair, before you is Resolution 2518, authorizing use of managed retreat revolving funds for rehabilitation of privately owned property owned by Montokuji Mission of Paia, Maui.
Member Hodgins?
Thank you, Chair. I move to adopt Resolution 25-18.
Moved by Member Hodgins, seconded by Vice Chair Sugimura to adopt Resolution 2518. Discussion, Member Hodgins.
Thank you again, Chair. Adoption of Resolution 25-18 will authorize the use of the managed retreat revolving funds as proposed in Bill 188 FD1 2024, posted for second and final reading today. Subsection 3.97.020C, Maui County Code requires approval by 2/3 vote by resolution to authorize the use of these funds for the rehabilitation of privately owned property. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Chair.
Any more discussion? Member Paulton?
Thank you, Chair. This is the type of situation that I envisioned when creating the managed retreat fund. Situations that are preventable, that that would greatly damage the ecosystems. It was stated that there was County of Maui mining of sand, and we see how detrimental that is in the long term, and thus, the County of Maui contributed to what is going on right now. Also, as Mr. Foley, an expert in the field, has stated, that this is not a unique situation, that its uniqueness is that it's on an accelerated time frame. And so I think this shows the need to reinstate the managed retreat fund, because it's just the tip of the iceberg. And in order to not, it's one of those things that we need to address on the front end before it becomes a bigger disaster the longer we wait. So I will be supporting this resolution.
Anyone else? If not, all those in favor of the motion, please raise your hand, say aye. 9 ayes, 0 noes, motion carries. Ms. Clerk.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Before you is Resolution 25-19, authorizing acceptance of a donation from the City of Tombstone, Arizona, to help with the county's recovery from the August 8, 2023 Maui wildfires.
Vice Chair Sugimura.
Yep, Chair. If there are no objections, may I please request this resolution be postponed until the council takes up Bill 5?
Any objections, members? So ordered, Ms. Clerk.
Chair, before you is Resolution 25-20, amending Resolution 24-77, CD1, approving the grant and disposition of real properties located at 266 Dickinson Street, Lahaina, Hawaii, to Lahaina Community Land Trust.
Member Paulton.
Thank you, Chair. I move to adopt Resolution 25-20.
Second.
Moved by Member Paulton, seconded by Pro Tem Kama to adopt Resolution 25-20. Discussion, Member Paulton.
Thank you. This resolution is required by the Corporation Council and the Housing Department, so that the county is not responsible for maintaining it. I had the choice of adding it on or taking it off in the original resolution, and I made the wrong decision. So thank you to the administration. The County Council adopted Resolution 24-77 CD1 to authorize the grant of real property to the Lahaina Community Land Trust in May 2024. The county is also the owner of a contiguous parcel of undeveloped real property identified as tax map key number (2 4-6-011:028), comprising 1,500 square feet. The county desires to amend Resolution 24-77 CD1 to include the grant of the contiguous parcel to the Lahaina Community Land Trust, whose mission is to protect and perpetuate Lahaina by empowering the community to live, engage, prosper, restore, and care for its Aina and Ea. And Lahaina Community Land Trust plan to develop a duplex on the property to support 2 local families. And so I respectfully ask for the members' support on my motion.
Any more discussion, Member Sinensi?
Mahalo, Chair. I just wanted to add, in light of this morning's testimony, I haven't heard of or any other nonprofits that are unlike the or like the Lahaina Community Land Trust that is, actively keeping families in Lahaina. So speak in support, Chair.
Okay.
Chair.
Member Rollins-Fernandez.
Mahalo, Chair. I fully support the motion on the floor. Mahalo, Member Paulton, and mahalo to the administration and to the Lahaina Community Land Trust. As a process person, I do appreciate the testifier earlier asking about process. So I did some research, and this is the what I understand is the process. Okay. Resolution 25-20 amends Reso 24-77 that we unanimously adopted last year, which deeded the property to Lahaina Community Land Trust, and to add an adjacent parcel, as Member Paulton explained, and include an easement for county to still be able to access the utilities located on the second parcel. Resolution 21-116 acquired the properties in 2021. The county subsequently discussed the best use of the property and addressing the issue of affordable housing for residents. County real property may be granted to a recipient for a public purpose. As Member Paulton read, the Lahaina Community Land Trust's mission is to protect and perpetuate Lahaina by empowering the Lahaina community to live, engage, and prosper, restoring and caring for its Aina and Ea as the public purpose. Resolution 24-77 better explains the process of the action to deed the property to the Lahaina Community Land Trust. Whereas, in accordance with Section 3.36.090 Maui County Code, the council may authorize the grant of a real property by resolution, which is what we're doing. Resolution, whereas in accordance with Section 3.44.020 Maui County Code, the council may dispose of county real property by adoption of a resolution, and whereas in accordance with Chapter 3.35 Maui County Code, the properties will be subject to deed restrictions as required for the properties purchased with the appropriation of the Affordable Housing Fund, which is the funding that was used to acquire the properties back in 2021. And finally, whereas in accordance with Section 3.44.030A Maui County Code, the council may waive the requirement of public auction after public notice for the disposition of any of county real property in a manner other than public auction by adoption of a resolution approved by 2/3 of its member, which it did last year, adopting Resolution 24-77. And then I will ask for Corporation Council's confirmation of their understanding or any correction of what I just provided.
Corp Counsel?
Thank you, Chair. No, I totally agree with what member said. And it's, if you look in your Be It Resolved section, that's exactly what she just summarized is exactly what you would be doing by approving this by 2/3 of your members. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Johnson?
Thank you, Chair. I want to rise in full support of the resolution. You know, I want to thank Autumn Ness for her, you know, heavy lift, and all of the folks who are working in the Lahaina Community Land Trust. They're doing great work, and hope to see them on this agenda a lot more in the future so that we can keep the Lahaina lands in Lahaina hands, as they say. You know, the auctioning off of lands is kind of what got us in this mess because it goes to the highest bidder. And folks who live here and work here can't compete with mainland coffers. So that's why I think this is a really great way to keep the capitalist part out of this and actually look into keeping our people here. So full support and looking forward to more of these. Thank you, Chair.
Member Paulton?
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to add, you know, whenever you buy land with Affordable Housing Fund, the worst thing that we could do is just sit on it and let it be nothing, you know, and that's part of the reason why I initially approached Nahaleo Maui, and I believe Member Sugimura also approached them. And, you know, I was blown away when they did not want to accept it. They looked into it. They said it's on the corner of a highway. It's Makai of a gas station. All of that didn't mean much to me because it was an opportunity to put local people in housing. I appreciate the Nahale Maui model as well, although they're having some troubles with their members on the rebuilds. I think they have a good program overall. And so, you know, I was really disappointed that they wouldn't take it and it was just sitting there vacant, and we had purchased it with Affordable Housing Funds. And then I approached Lahaina Community Land Trust because for me, I've seen the damage that speculative investment does to our Lahaina community. And so that's why I'm in support of land trust models, which actually house members of our community rather than allow for speculative interest. So, you know, to the testifier before, I'm not sure if he prefers speculative interest, but that's not what I'm here for. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more discussion? If Member Rollins Fernandez.
Mahalo for seeing me. Mahalo, Chair. I just wanted to quickly add that I appreciate this council and the administration for supporting the work that the Lahaina community